We are here today to stand up for economic justice, to stand up for basic fairness and decency, to stand up for policies that help working families get ahead instead of situations like this one that leave them behind. In just a few weeks, all 735 Toys R Us and Babies R Us stores, including 20 locations right here in New Jersey, will close their doors, leaving 33,000 employees, including more than 1,600 New Jerseyans, with nothing. These employees spent years bringing smiles to the faces of our children, delighting them with everything from bikes to trains to video games. But what happened to this iconic business, founded in 1948, didn't happen on its own. This storied New Jersey company was run into the ground by a bunch of corporate raiders looking to turn a profit. These companies drained Toys R Us of its resources and its ability to adapt in the marketplace. And they treated its workers, employees like Robert and Shakina, as expendable, as afterthoughts, as collateral damage. Look, we all know that the brick and mortar retail challenge has today in today's changing economy. When Toys R Us was struggling back in 2005, however, the private equity and real estate firms, Bain Capital, KKR, and Vornado, loaded Toys R Us up with more than $5 billion in debt, saddling the company with more than $400 million a year in interest payments alone. And even though Toys R Us revenue remained relatively steady, this debt hung like an albatross around Jeffrey the giraffe's neck. Bain and companies flipped Toys R Us operations upside down. Toys R Us went from a capital structure of only 30% debt and 70% equity to 78% debt and only 22% equity. This set them up for failure. As the company tried to retool for the 21st century, any strides or gains they made went straight to paying off massive debt. And when it filed for bankruptcy and then announced in March it would shutter all of its stores, we quickly learned it would not be the big firms or senior executives who'd bear the brunt of the pain. As is too often the case in today's economy, it would be workers who'd pay the heaviest price. Top executives made millions. The Wall Street firms are walking away with $470 million in fees and interest payments. But the workers who ran the stores every day, they were left with no jobs, no severance, and no path forward. With more than 30,000 workers losing their jobs, while those at the top walk away with millions, something is seriously wrong with this type of an economy. How many employees at Bain are now worrying about how they'll pay for daycare? How many real estate investors at Vornado are struggling to pay their rent? How many employees over at KKR don't have the cash to fill up their gas tank and go out looking for jobs? That's the situation that folks like Shakina and Robert find themselves in today. And that's why Corey, Bill, and I are here today demanding answers from Bain, from KKR, and from Vornado. These firms still have the time to do the right thing. They still have the time to make the wrongs right. They still have the time to do the decent thing and give these hardworking people and their families a fighting chance at landing on their feet. Now, I wish we could say that President Trump and the Republican Congress were looking out for working families, that we had an administration who stood up for the rights of workers, that was focused on growing American paychecks instead of padding corporate profits. But instead, we have a man in the White House who sees being wealthy the same as being worthy, who spends his days dividing us and distracting us when he should be delivering for us, who campaigned on helping the little guy, but whose administration is rigging this economy to help big corporations rake in even higher profits. Whether it's a tax plan that gives away trillions to corporate CEOs and the wealthiest 1%, a banking bill that puts taxpayers back on the hook for bailouts, or a health care plan built on hiking premiums and gutting programs like Medicare and Medicaid, the Trump administration and its Republican enablers in Congress seek above all else to maximize profits no matter the pain to workers, to families, and to communities. So we're not going to stand for it. Here in New Jersey, when the tough gets going, we get tougher. That's why we're here today standing up for workers and writing the bigwigs at Bain, KKR, and Vornado to ask that they treat Toys R Us employees like real human beings, people with bills to pay, families to support, new jobs to fight. But our efforts won't stop here. In Washington, we Democrats are working to give working families a better deal and a better shot in our economy. We're going to resist the Trump agenda and defend the American dream. It's the idea that hard work pays off, that if you give it your all, you get ahead. And if you do your best, you leave your children with an even better future. That's what we're fighting for. An economy that rewards work instead of just wealth and gives everyone a fair shot at that success. That's what we're in this fight about. And finally, let me just say, before I introduce Bill Pascrell, as a member of the Senate Banking Committee, I want to look at legislation that deals with how it is that companies can do this and have no consequence as it affects workers. How do we have, as a member of the Senate Finance Committee, a tax code that allows companies to do exactly what they're doing here at Toys R Us and face no consequence? There has to be a better way. But for that, we have to have people willing to vote for working families instead of big corporations.
It's a struggle. This was my only job that I've ever had with the company. I've started as a regular associate and worked my way up to have nothing after 33 years of giving everything, everything, to get nothing. I spent every holiday, every Christmas Eve, leaving my kids behind, leaving my kids home for the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, birthdays, everything, to be at work, to give them my 100% to get nothing is incredible. I'm here today just to support my 33,000 family members, which I call Toys R Us employees, my family, because they are my family. I'm here just to represent everybody. For Toys R Us to give us nothing, it's disgusting. Go ahead. I'm just very overwhelmed to get nothing. I'm just lost to get no insurance. Don't know where I'm going to live after June 30th. To have a car payment I'm not going to be able to make because I'm not going to be able to go for job interviews, to may have to walk, to have no medical with medical illnesses that I have, to not be able to pay my car insurance. It's disgusting.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, I may not have been working at Toys R Us that long, but it still will affect me because I don't have anything lined up once our door closes, and I don't know when the next check gonna come from for me to pay my rent, bills, anything. I don't have kids, but bills is enough for me right about now, and we're not receiving anything, just unemployment, and I don't want to go that route because don't know how long it's going to last. Unemployment doesn't pay anything, and it's crazy how a big franchise is just closing their doors and not offer us anything, just kicking us to the curb. So we came out here to support all our co-workers, Rise Up Retail for coming out to support us, to fight for severance pay, and it will help a lot.